All right. So, hey everyone, and welcome back to the Duo Dialogues here on YouTube.
Yeah, welcome back.
Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into some essential English conversation skills for travel,
That's right.
for navigating airports and hotels and public transport.
Hmm.
So, if you're dreaming of seeing the world,
Yeah,
but maybe you feel a little bit unsure about, how to actually communicate while you're traveling,
for sure.
this deep dive is for you.
Yeah.
So, let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
I think, when we're thinking about travel and essential English for travel,
Yeah.
we should probably just start with some vocabulary,
That's a great place to start.
some like key terms that you're going to hear all the time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So, you're going to hear things like boarding pass,
Boarding pass.
that little piece of paper or, QR code on your phone
Hmm.
that you need to get on the plane.
Yep.
You're going to hear check-in,
Check in. Uh-huh.
which is where you register at the airport or the hotel.
Right.
You're going to hear reservation,
Reservation.
which
Yeah,
is, your confirmed booking
exactly.
for a hotel or maybe a tour or something.
Yeah.
And of course, luggage.
Yeah, your bags.
When you're getting around, you're going to need a ticket
Ticket.
for the train or the bus.
Yep.
And you'll hear platform
Yeah.
a lot,
Platform.
which is where, you wait for the train or the bus.
Yeah.
Departure and arrival,
Hmm.
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
When you leave and when you get there.
When you arrive, exactly.
And then if you're getting a taxi, you're going to need to know the fare.
The fare. Yeah, that's the price.
And then also your reservation number.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one to have.
Especially for hotels, it's really good to have that written down or, in your notes on your phone.
For sure.
So I think,
So much good vocabulary there
yeah, so much.
to get us started.
And I think, this might seem very basic,
Yeah.
but I think it's really important to start with these simple terms.
It really is.
Because once you know these simple terms, then you can kind of unlock all these different interactions.
Exactly.
So let's move on to, like some common airport scenarios.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you get to the airport and it can be kind of overwhelming,
Well, it's so busy and hectic.
especially a big airport.
For sure.
So you might need to ask, where's the check-in counter?
Yeah. Good question.
And that's how you find where you need to go to check in for your flight.
Exactly.
If your luggage is super heavy,
Yeah.
you might need to ask someone for help.
Of course.
So you could say, could you help me with my luggage, please?
Please. Yeah.
Always be polite.
Absolutely.
And then also, you're going to want to know, what's the boarding time for this flight
Yeah. That's crucial.
so that you don't miss your flight?
You don't want to miss your flight.
And then you get to the gate. You want to make sure you're at the right gate.
Oh.
So you can say, is this the right gate for flight? And then the flight number.
That's a smart one.
And again, I think what's really key here is just to be polite.
Yeah.
The airport staff are there to help you.
They are.
So just ask clearly and politely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then you get to your hotel,
All right.
and now you need to check in.
Yep.
So you can say, I have a reservation under the name and then your last name.
Right.
If you want a specific kind of room, like a room with a view or something,
Yeah.
you can ask, could I possibly have a room with a view?
That's a good one.
And then you might want to know what time breakfast is served.
Yeah, especially if you have an early flight or something, you want to know what's
Exactly.
next.
And then if you need a little extra time in the morning to check out,
Yeah.
you can ask, is a late checkout possible?
That's always a good one to ask.
Yeah.
If you need a little bit of extra time.
So again, just these simple questions
Mm-hmm.
can really help you manage your stay and make it more comfortable.
For sure.
All right. So then the last thing is public transport. You know how to get around the city using buses and trains and subways and things.
Yeah. Super important.
So the first thing you need to know is, where can I buy a ticket for the bus or the train or the subway?
Right.
And then if you're on a crowded bus or train
Mm-hmm.
and you want to sit down,
Yeah.
ask, excuse me, is this seat taken?
That's the polite way to do it.
Yes. And if you want to know how much it costs to get somewhere, you can say, how much is the fare to, and then the location.
That's a good one.
And then at a train station or a bus station, you might need to ask, which platform does the train or bus to, and then the location leave from.
Yeah. You don't want to be on the wrong platform.
Exactly. So all of these, transport questions,
Yeah.
once you know them, they really give you so much more freedom to explore the city.
Absolutely.
So I think that covers, the main things.
I think so.
Just remember all of these phrases. They're like tools in your travel communication toolkit.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it.
The more you practice them and the more familiar you are with them,
Yeah.
the easier and more enjoyable your travels will be.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that wraps up this deep dive into essential English for travel.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for tuning in to the Duo Dialogues here on YouTube,
Be sure to stay tuned for our next episode.
where we'll be taking a look at some polite expressions
Yeah,
like could you and would you mind,
that's right.
and how those can really enhance your English communication while you're traveling.
Looking forward to it.
See you next time.
Yeah. Bye.